Hello and welcome, and thank you for joining me today. I'd like to share with you some thoughts, some of my personal reflections on the concept of integrity. Here it is. If I go into a class and think about this, even as you listen and watch this program today, this DVD today, think about this. If I ask you on a scale of 1 to 10 to rate the level of your personal integrity, I'm sure that even criminals would say that their integrity is 9. Everybody likes to think of themselves as people of high integrity. The most corrupt leaders in the world, think of the most corrupt businesses in the world, think of themselves as, our values are integrity. And you wonder, what are these people talking about? But here's where I'm coming to. Many times, leaders come to me and say to me, and I've seen this happen severally, and I'm sure you have too, and I'm sure perhaps I'm speaking to somebody right now, where you're saying to yourself that my people do not trust me. And it happens. Leaders, in fact, a survey done recently, a couple of years ago, shows that 50% of managers, and here's the shock, 50% of managers think that they do not trust, or rather, they actually do not trust their leaders. Now, so think about what I'm saying, that you're a manager in a large corporate organization in the public sector, and what a manager, and a manager not being a frontline employee or an entry level, a manager, somebody who is in a position of management. 50% of managers do not trust their bosses. What's going on here? Think about how many people on the Dandaweeds, how many of the people down there do you think therefore will trust their leaders? Much, much, much lower amounts. So here's my thought. If you think that you have a problem with trust, if you believe that people in your family don't trust you, people in your church or mosque don't trust you, people in your office don't trust you, here's my thought. It's probably because you're not a person of integrity. Because, ladies and gentlemen, integrity as a concept, as a word, as an important aspect of accountability and leadership, integrity is measured by trust. If people trust you, then you are a person of integrity. So if you are the CEO of a company, the manager, the regional manager, the president of a country, a minister, a governor, a commissioner, a member of the House of Representatives, and you can open your mouth in public, or even in your thoughts, recognize and truthfully realize that people do not trust you, here's my point, then it means you are not a person of integrity. Integrity is measured by trust. If you want to know if you are a person of integrity, it is that people trust you. That's how integrity manifests itself. And you may have watched me talk about leadership and commitment. So here's the parallel. Leadership is measured by commitment. Integrity is measured by trust. And if people don't trust you, then you are not a person of integrity. And why is it that people don't trust you? It's because you have misplaced benevolence. One of the enemies of trust, as we think about the concept of trust and integrity. So let me push this thought further. So how can you become a person that people trust? And let me backtrack. So remember I said, rate your level of integrity on a scale of 1 to 10. Everybody writes 9.5. But here's the reality. Rate the level at which people trust you. Ask yourself with brutal honesty, do my people trust me? If the answer is 5 or 4 or 3, then you need to recalibrate your scores for level of integrity. Because indeed, your integrity is a reflection of the extent to which people trust you. People of high integrity are trusted. People with low integrity are not. If you are a leader who looks back and says, I think my people don't trust me, then guess what? Perhaps you have not been leading with integrity. So how can you lead with integrity? How can you foster trust in your workplace, in your family, in your society, or your group? Here it is. One of the enemies of trust is misplaced benevolence. And that's what I was talking about a few seconds ago. Misplaced benevolence, when, for example, you have favorites, they are sacred cows. You see, once they are sacred cows, once they are people who are above the law, whether it's because they're your family, they're your friends, or you have personal business relationships with them, and so you allow them to get away with murder, once they are sacred cows in a system, then it's misplaced benevolence. People are watching. People can see that if Mr. X commits an offense, he gets away with it. But when Miss Y commits a similar or even less offense, she's hammered. Misplaced benevolence. Elephants in the parlor. There are big issues in your organization that everybody is talking about. And you know what? We're all pretending that there's no elephant in the parlor. So you're watching the TV, the elephant is passing, and everybody's moving around, sort of like pretending that there's nothing wrong. Now, if there are deep-seated issues in your organization, if there are problems and there are scandals, and as a leader, you have not been able to address those issues, those elephants, those large elephants sitting in your living room, if you've not been able to deal with them and you pretentiously play around them, then guess what you are doing? You are engendering distrust, and it's affecting the level of your integrity. Okay, so these are just examples of a few things that leaders can do. Another thing that leaders do all the time that destroys trust, and this is the final one I'll talk about, is when leaders set inconsistent standards. Have you ever heard a politician recently in the third world, in Nigeria, for example, say that my fellow citizens, we need to tighten our belts? Now, ladies and gentlemen, just look at the person who is telling you to tighten his belt. He's on spandex. He has no belt. He has no limit to how much he eats, how much he steals, how corrupt he is. Yet, he makes a compelling case to his followers to tighten their belts. Heal yourself, healer. Tighten your belt first. So if you are setting inconsistent standards, you are the CEO of your company, you tell everybody that when you come into the office, you need to come in at 8:05. And anybody who comes after 8:05 will be dealt with. But guess what? You get to work at 8:30. In fact, everybody is meant to sign in a register at 8:05. You come in at 9 o'clock and you don't sign in the register. Inconsistent standards. You are no better than the people that you lead. And it's a profound point. I remember, I tell you a personal story. A few years ago, I worked in a company called Stanbic IBTC. And I remember one morning, there was a whole brouhaha at the front door, at the front building of the Stanbic IBTC head office in Walter Carrington. And I observed, you know what was going on? The security men were allowing the chairman of the bank to walk in without signing in his laptop. And the chairman insists that, no, I want to sign in my laptop because everybody signs in their laptop. And the security men say, no, Oga, you are the chair, it's okay, you can go ahead, sir, you don't need to sign. No. You need to sign in. I need to sign in my laptop because I need to set an example for everybody. If the chairman of the bank, think about this, if the minister in the ministry, if the commissioner in the ministry, if the chief executive of the parastatal, if the managing director, if the regional manager, whatever level, if the pastor in the church signs into the register, if he does those things that he has said everybody must do, how dare people below him not to do it? What better example of leadership to give than an example of yourself? Ladies and gentlemen, if you think about integrity, integrity is manifest in trust. If people trust you, then you are a person of integrity. If your people do not trust you, here's my message for you. Work on your integrity. Build trust. Think about those things, those elephants in the parlor, those inconsistent messages, those inconsistent standards, those cliques and special breeds and sacred cows that don't get touched. Think about all these things and start to learn to build integrity and build trust in your organization. Thank you.